conservative with a strong dash of libertarian. No, Jeb is, I mean, that's one thing when I was reading what you wrote yesterday, Ben. If Jeb gets out there and he sort of gets the weights off of his shoulder and stops sighing about his Republican Party and just talks about what he did in Florida, that guy went to war with the teachers' unions, like, you know, a decade before Chris Christie went to war with the teachers' unions and went to war on One Florida. He went to war on spending. I mean, the guy got whatever he wanted done in the state of Florida, and he didn't let anybody stand in his way. He was one of the strongest leaders I've ever seen in my life. A hurricane had come in. And I'll tell you what, George W., I've said it before, the reason George W. got in so much trouble in Katrina in 2005 is because he was used to his brother running 4 hurricanes the year before. Right. Hurricane comes in, the state shut down.
Remember who Obama hired to run FEMA? Jeb Bush's guy.
Yeah.
FEMA. I mean, he did on that front.
But these aren't the issues he spent his time on since he left office a while ago. Right. It's been education reform. It's been immigration. So I mean, I think.
And you bring up a fair point. Look at Bill Clinton in 2008. If you haven't been through this news cycle, you haven't been through the BuzzFeed world, the world.
Right. But this is the world of the last 10 years.
No, I agree. And Bill Clinton, it was a pretty wake-up call to him.
Bill Clinton never saw it coming.
He never learned the new news cycle. And
he was blindsided. I can't believe how old and out of touch Bill Clinton looked in 2008. He, of course, certainly regained his footing.
No, he did. But there's
the way in which a sentence gets pulled out. It just, I mean, the way that you can't control the context for news. And the few times Jeb has gone out and done loose interviews, he has said. He has done things like saying that this isn't Ronald Reagan's
Well, remember
party.
what he said after the Arizona debate, and he said it at a private speech. And it got out when he said, I thought I was a conservative. Yeah. And then I watched the debate. That leaked out, I believe, of a private speech. Right. Welcome to the new world.
Yeah, he'll have to tighten up his media organization. He'll have to hire a lot of folks who do Twitter for him. I mean, there's going to be an evolution. And you can do that. But
you can do that 5 years ago.
He's fine. And I think a lot of this stuff probably
isn't fine.
Yeah, you can email him. The other thing is, I would just say that, you can't underestimate how badly the Republican Party is going to want to win in 2016 and beat somebody with Hillary.
I think you can.
I don't know if they want to win.
Was that the lesson of Mitt Romney you think they're going to take? We got to nominate them.
Then you go back to comparing Jeb Bush to Mitt Romney, which is a complete fallacy. There's nothing that's
Mitt Romney was much more moderate, wealthier.
And he got the nomination. Jeb Bush is more conservative, a better candidate, and I don't think the Bush thing is a problem either.
These guys they just don't like each other.
No, we can't stand
calling you a Wall Street elitist?
He's actually talking to me that I talk to Wall Street elitists, which I do.
It rubs off a little.
What does Jeb stand for?
What does he stand? He stands for.
No. What is Jeb?
What is Jeb's? He's an education candidate. Absolutely.
The actual name. Where does it come from?
Oh, I don't know.
John Ellis Bush.
There you go. Got to know those things. These are little pieces of trivia.
This is his most fervent supporter here.
So
doesn't know the guy's name.
I'm just saying the guy who win.
So, I mean, seriously, who's the Jeb base, right? Look at that.
Wow. Holy cow! You guys don't like each other.
You went after his beat.
Filleting over there.
It's going to be a hard day on Twitter.
Yeah, seriously. I mean,
don't play Jeb for it.
And I don't think it's just Wall Street elites who like the guy.
Well, Ben, can I ask Ben Smith a question then?
56% of the Florida voters.
If Jeb Bush is a terrible candidate, he can't win, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, who can Republicans nominate? Of the prominent figures we've seen right now, who is a more realistic nominee? Not just a nominee, but a winner for the Republican Party.
I do think that the Scott Walkers and Marco Rubios, who all have, they're Paul Ryan, they all have their ups and downs in the pre-cycle, but are all people who are kind of ready for prime time.
And will win a general election, those three?
Right, who knows? I mean, that seems like a lot to predict. Yeah. But they could certainly mount, the credible campaigns. It'll depend on a lot of things.
So, Mika, to follow up on what the Vens were saying in between, like fists of fury flying at each other, I think one of the most telling things about how much politics have changed by people that have actually been there and inside the bubble. I remember we had Ari Fleischer, no friend of Barack Obama's at all, and Nicole Wallace, also burned by rough treatment of the White House back in 2004, 2005. Remember when we asked them, is it tougher now for Barack Obama and this White House than it was 10 years ago? And they both said, and it was the most shocking thing, they both said, because I thought they'd say, no, we had it the roughest because the mainstream media, they both said immediately, yes, much tougher today, It's a much different world. There's no way I would want to be in politics in this world inside the White House. It is absolutely brutal and moves so much faster than a decade ago. If you have two Bushies saying that in defense of Barack Obama, I mean, I think it underlines the point of Ben's point of how much things have changed over the past decade. And Chuck's point to 2008, this is all important. I don't mean to just regurgitate the entire segment here, but Chuck's point in 2008, Bill Clinton was off balance. He never saw any of it coming, and that was just 8 years removed. Jeb's going to be stepping into a brand new world, and I think I think he knows it. He's a brilliant guy, and that's probably the question he's asking himself. Do I want to get into the pool with the piranhas?
That's exactly what any good candidate is asking himself right now. Any good, smart candidate that could win has to make that decision, because once they get pulled into that pool, it's very to come out alive. Ben Smith, Ben White, thank you. The Ben Squared should come back.
Boy,
that was good.
I don't know.
You guys, I think Washington Speakers Bureau is calling right now, right?
Yeah.
Harry Walker Agency.
Ben and Ben Roadshow.
Dozens of dollars.
And Chuck Todd, what does Chuck stand for exactly?
That's all it is. I don't have a John. I always thought that was a neat little thing. It was a good
John. Yeah.
People always do you think he responds to John?
No.
Like, how long do you think he's been Jeb? Probably since like he was 3.
Kid.
Yeah, I think so. Pretty long time.
Hey, Chuck.
Yes, ma'am.
Stay with us if
yes,
you can.
I'm sorry.
Congressman
It's very
Steny
hard to
Hoyer.
listen to you when you're not here.